What is AWS Autoscaling? AWS Autoscaling is a new AWS service that helps you optimize the performance of your applications while lowering infrastructure cost by easily and safely scaling multiple AWS resources. It simplifies the scaling experience by allowing you to scale collections of related resources that support your application with just a few clicks. AWS Autoscaling helps you to configure consistent and congruent. So, what is congruent? In an agreement or harmony. Okay. Consistent and congruent scaling policies across full infrastructure stack being your application. So I couldn't understand what they are saying. So just let me slowly go through this. So one of the thing is when you read something, think. Think of what actually they are meaning. So I'm asking you a question, what is AWS auto scaling, and you're trying to explain it, saying that it's a service that helps you optimize the performance of application while lowering infrastructure cost by easily and safely scaling the multiple resources, AWS resources. So they could have just gone with the idea it helps you scale, but they are also mentioning that uh, it helps you to optimize the performance. So there are two questions answered here. One is why do you have to scale up your AWS resources? It's basically to optimize your performance. So let's say you are running a EC2 compute and it has 2 GB, and suddenly uh, the application needs more like 8 GB, and auto scaling will help you to maybe put 3 more 2 GB easy to compute somehow to help your application to have its performance optimized. So in order to do this, so when you consider about if you have to do it manually, let's say you have a computer, for that you might need to add a 8 GB, which will cost a lot of infrastructure cost. So basically it helps, auto scaling helps you to just do that. It helps you to easily scale up and down. It simplifies the scaling experience by allowing you to scale collections of related resources that support your application with just a few clicks. AWS Auto Scaling helps you to configure consistent and congruent scaling policies across the full infrastructure stack backing your application. So it helps to configure the policies. Scaling policies. AWS Auto Scaling will automatically scale resources as needed to align your selected scaling strategy, so you maintain performance and pay only for the resources you actually need. What are the benefits of auto scaling? AWS auto scaling is a fast, easy way to optimize performance and cost of your applications. Set up scaling quickly. AWS auto scaling provides a unified scaling experience for all of the scalable resources. I went somewhere there. Let me quickly go through again. Setup scaling quickly. AWS Auto Scaling provides a unified scaling experience for all of the scalable resources powering your application. You can see the average utilization for all of your resources. You can see the average utilization for all of your scalable resources and quickly define the target utilization levels for each group of like resources from a single intuitive interface. Make smart scaling decisions. AWS auto scaling lets you automate how groups of different resources respond to changes in demand. Easy to understand scaling strategies let you choose to optimize availability, cost, or balance of both. AWS auto scaling automatically creates all of the scaling policies and sets targets for you based on your preference. Automatically maintain performance. AWS auto scaling continually monitors resources underlying your application to make sure that they are operating at your desired performance levels. With the demand spikes, AWS auto scaling automatically increases the capacity of constrained resources so you maintain a high quality of service. When demand spikes, AWS auto scaling automatically increases the capacity of the constrained resources so you maintain a high quality of service. Anticipate cost and avoid overspending. Anticipate cost and avoid overspending. AWS auto scaling can help you optimize your utilization and cost efficiencies when consuming AWS service so you only pay for the resources you actually need. AWS auto scaling can help you optimize your utilization and cost efficiencies when consuming AWS services so you only pay for the resources you actually need. When demand drops, the AWS auto scaling will automatically remove any excess resource capacity so you avoid overspending. When should I use auto scaling? You should use auto scaling if you have an application that uses one or more scalable resources and experiences variable load. A good example would be an e-commerce web application that receives variable traffic through the day. It follows a standard 3-tier architecture with elastic load balancing for distributing incoming traffic. Amazon EC2 for the compute layer and the DynamoDB for the data layer. In this case, AWS autoscaling will scale one or more EC2 autoscaling groups and DynamoDB tables that are powering the application in response to the demand curve. How can I get started with AWS autoscaling? AWS autoscaling allows you to select your application based on resource stacks or AWS CloudFormation stacks. In just a few clicks, you can create a scaling plan for your applications, which defines how each of the resources in your application should be scaled. How each of your resources in your application should be scaled. For each resource, AWS autoscaling creates a target tracking. AWS scaling creates a target tracking scaling policies with the most popular metric. Create a target tracking scaling policy. For each resources, AWS autoscaling creates a target tracking scaling policy. What do you mean by target tracking scaling policy? With the most popular metric for that resource type and keeps it at a target value based on your selected scaling strategy. So target is basically how much you want to target it. Like let's say you 5 is your target for the EC2 instance, you will be having 5 EC2 instance, maybe like that. I'm not sure what is exactly mean target here. To set target values for your resource metrics, you can choose from 3 predefined scaling recommendations that optimize availability, cost, or balance of the two. Or if you prefer, you can define your own target values. AWS autoscaling also automatically sets min-max values for your resources. So I still don't understand what is target is meant by here. So I think of going to the only resource that I think I can help me. What is meant by in the context of AWS autoscaling, targets refers to a specific value or range that you want a particular metric to achieve or maintain. For example, if you are using a target tracking scaling policy, the target could be described as CPU utilization percentage for your okay, now I understand. So if you have a 90%, you know, 90% CPU usage, trigger AWS, EC2, something like that. So yeah, now I get it. Yes. Shall we go through it again, like, so that we can understand it better now? AWS autoscaling allows you to select your applications based on your resource stacks. Now this I don't understand. AWS autoscaling allows you to select your application based on resource stacks, and I think what is resource tags here? Tags and AWS cloud. Okay. Tags are labels that are assigned to a AWS resources. Each tag is a key value pair that helps you organize, categorize, and track your AWS resources. For example, you might tag resources with environment, production, or department is equal to finance. These tags make it easier to manage and identify resources, especially in large environment. CloudFusion is a service that you define and provision AWS infrastructure. You write templates in YAML, JSON that describes the resources you want to create, like EC2 instance, RDS. Okay. Allows you to select your application based on resource stacks or AWS CloudFormation stacks in just a few clicks. Okay, wait a minute. What is mean by AWS CloudFormation stacks? What does stack mean here? Is it some term? No. That you use in cloud formation. Yes, in cloud formation term, stack is a specific term used to describe the collection of AWS resources that are managed in a single unit. Okay. When you create a cloud formation stack, you're essentially deploying a set of resources like EC2 instances, S3 buckets, RDS databases that are defined in a cloud formation template. The stack includes all the resources specified in that template, and they are created, updated, and deleted together. So when you are, deploying a cloud formation template, you have a set of resources. Let's say I want two EC2 instances, one RDBS, and one whatever the hell it is. Those are the stacks. In just a few clicks, you can create a scaling plan for your application, which defines how each of resources in your application should be scaled. For each resources, AWS scaling creates a target AWS target scaling policies with the most popular metric for that resource type, and keeps it at target based value based on your selected scaling strategy. So you create, as I said earlier, if you have, let's say, EC2 instance, it's going to watch the CPU utilization, which is if the CPU utilization is above 90%, it's going to auto scale out actually. Yes. To set target values for your resources metrics, you can choose from three predefined recommendations that optimize availability, optimize cost, or the balance of the two. Or if you prefer, you can define your own target values. AWS autoscaling also automatically sets the min max values for the resources, or you can define it for yourself. So this is basically the general frequently asked questions that are there for auto scaling. We can go into the scaling options on the next one. See you.